Yes.
It's done.
Okay, thank you. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to First Friday. It is February 1st, first day of February. January was a doozy for me, so I hope everyone made it through all right. Hopefully 2019 won't be so intense with every single month that way. Um, Want to go ahead and just give a couple of quick administrative updates for folks. As you know, we wanted program plans for 2019, individual plans turned in by January 15th. I think you guys have all seen my screen before. I've shared what it looks like for me with looking at everybody in the system. So if your draft, it's pink. If your plan is pending, it's yellow. And if it's final, it's green. So I'm seeing a lot more greens on there, but there's still some pinks and yellows out there. So if you're someone who hasn't submitted your plan yet, please wrap that up and get it in as soon as possible. And if you're a supervisor who reviews and approves plans, please try to get through all of them and get them in the final stage as soon as possible as well. So that way folks can start reporting. So anybody who had anything at Ag Week or the Hort Expo or other big January events, you'll be able to go and start reporting on them immediately with those outputs and participant information. And then if you had indicator data too, anybody who did any evaluations, you can just get that in there right now and then not worry about it. So if you have questions or have concerns or need help with that, let me know. I've been helping people as I can. I know this year was more complicated, not rolling over, starting from scratch. And there are a couple people out there who had duplicate plans, and we had to go and do some merging and figuring out which one to keep and which one to delete. But we're getting through all of those. So don't ever hesitate to call me or email me. We can always Zoom and work on getting your plan fixed together. So that's item number one. Item number two is hopefully all of the the agents and specialists out there received an invitation from Aisha this week to go to the evaluation training that's scheduled for March 4th and 5th here in my office in Kent County. We've got about 9 people registered so far. I'm hoping we can get to about between 20 and 30 at least. We want to make sure we have folks from every program area represented, and I think this will be applicable to everybody. I spent a couple of hours with Suji and Kola, who's going to be one of the instructors with us earlier this week, and we were talking about what she's going to focus on. And part of the registration form is for you to fill in what would be most helpful to you too. If you have specific questions about evaluation, specific tools or resources, let us know and she'll come prepared so she can highlight on some of those things in particular. But it'll be a good 2 days. We're going to run from 9 to 3 each day. We will provide lunch. It'll be a short break. We don't really want folks going off site in the middle and then maybe wandering back in later. So we'll just try to stay together and knock it out as quickly as possible, but effectively and with a lot of information. So if you haven't signed up yet, please go ahead and do that so we have a good head count and can prepare and make sure the room's arranged appropriately. And then finally, if people have ideas for future First Fridays, if you've got something you want to share with the group, if you have a need, some sort of professional development that you think other people would also be interested in hearing about, please let me know. I'm always looking for those ideas. If you see in the DW, I have a TBD on future First Fridays, which is what I often have. It seems it comes together. Like today, I've got pretty much an hour filled, but I don't like scrambling and trying to come up with things all by myself. So if you've got ideas, please let me know. I want to hear from you. So with that, today's First Friday, we're going to hear from one of our innovation teams. So Sarah Burkaw, Kimmy Moore, and Maria Papitas had pitched the idea of small steps to health and wealth back at our innovation annual conference, not this past October, but the year before. And they've made a lot of progress, it seems. So they're going to share with us today what they've got going, and I think what they would like you to participate in as well. And then after that, we're going to turn it over to Allison Brayfield. She's going to give us some updates from the business manager. So we're going to hear about Concur and World Travel, I think. And then finally, we're going to close out with, we're going to share a video that Dr. Rogers made before she went out of town. So it's got some important information for us regarding the budget. And I think everyone will be interested in hearing that, and might have ideas on how you could help with that as well. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to, I see Kimmy. Her name's right up in the middle of my screen. I heard Maria, and hopefully Sarah's on. I see her name.
I'm here.
Hi. So
Hi.
go ahead and turn it over to you guys.
Okay. I'm going to share my screen, hopefully. Where is it at? Could you remind me how to share my screen?
So sure, it's at the bottom. If you hover over the Zoom window, near the bottom, it will say share. There you go, you got it.
Are you seeing it?
Yeah.
See, so you can actually go to your presentation mode.
Yeah, hold on one moment. Oh, but nope, now it's not letting me. Sorry, I thought I had this all figured out. Let's see.
No problem, take your time.
And now, nope, oh my goodness. Said I do this. Now, where's presentation mode? Not
I usually go to the one that's in the bottom, where it looks like it's a what's that called? A slide or a screen. But you can do it from the top too.
Yeah, the bottom.
Slideshow and from beginning.
Oh, there, okay, now I see it. It wasn't letting me click it a second ago, I thought. Okay, I'll figure it out.
You're good.
Okay, so my name is Kimmy Moore, and alongside Sarah Burkall, Maria Papitas, we are the Wealth and Wellness Warriors. We have been working to make the Small Steps to Health and Wealth program, like Jen mentioned, since 2 Octobers ago. We presented an update on it at a First Friday a little while ago, and then Sarah presented again at our last extension conference with all the progress we've been making. And as we hoped, we're here at the beginning of the year with a finished product that we're ready to roll out, and we're really excited. And it's a good time because after January, a lot of us start to wane with our motivation to get our resolutions or our goals done, and our program is really designed to help with that and to help with motivation for wealth and health goals. And so the next part I'm going to show is going to be a video to really give some information on what our program is. See if I can get it working. Yep.
Welcome to Small Steps to Health and Wealth. This online, self-paced, positive living program provides easy, doable steps to improve your health and wealth. We will coach you through various strategies that will help you become the best version of yourself. Each week, you can choose to focus on either health or finance topics. If you are feeling very motivated, you also have the option of choosing both. Throughout the program, you will develop and use small steps to achieve personal, self-created goals. The ultimate reward will be accomplishing goals that are most important to you. This project may sound like a challenging task, but remember, taking small steps can lead to big changes. Don't forget to take one small step with you to keep you motivated throughout the day. Let's get started on this journey together.
So that's a really nice overview of what our program is and what we aim to accomplish with it. So now I'm going to go through what each of our opening pages for each of the modules look like. There's 6 modules total, and we have them grouped in a way that really flows well by health coaching standards. So module 1 is Where Are You Now? Health and Wealth Assessments, and module 2 is Identifying Motivations for Change. And both of these are really just helping you visualize where you are and where you want to be. Our next 2 modules are module 3, Setting Yourself Up for Success, and module 4, Establishing Your Future Self. So both of these modules are really helping you to decrease barriers that you may run into when you're trying to make a change, and helping you stay positive, because it can get really frustrating when you run into a barrier. So both of these are really helping you work through that. And then our last two modules are Module 5, turning long-term goals into little successes, and Module 6, getting started and monitoring successes. And both of these are really about checking in with yourself, seeing how you're working towards your goal, making sure that you really are putting effort in to get to that goal, as well as celebrating your progress, celebrating your success, because it is really difficult to make a big change. So all of these really work together to help you meet those goals. And so now Sarah's going to go through a little bit more of the details and logistics about what this program actually is and how to participate. So I'm going to go to the next slide.
So here are some examples of some worksheets. So after you're in a module, you'll have a few steps. And within each step, you'll have worksheets to help you either organize your thoughts and help you brainstorm what you want to do, or help you keep track of your progress along the way. So this is our interactive way of kind of getting involved with what the module is explaining and what each step is helping you work towards. You can go, yeah, okay, thank you. Here are some helpful tips that we came up with. So you can choose to either focus on health, wealth, or you can do both if you'd like. It's really up to you. All the modules are made so that you can focus on either health or wealth or both. We suggest that you print out each module and create your own personalized booklet to keep that you can look back on, and it'll help you keep yourself organized. Also, in the beginning, we have a separate checklist to make sure that you stay up to date on your progress. So you can use that to make sure that you hit each module and whichever steps that you'd like to complete. Our next tip is to review the full module once you get it. So we'll be sending you one module a week. So you won't have a bunch of modules all at once. You'll get the most current module whichever week we send it, and you should review it to make sure that it makes sense to you, and then you can see each step that's along with it. And if one step is something that you know doesn't work well, then you have the option to not use it as much as maybe another step within that module. So there's a bunch of different strategies that you can use, and you just want to make sure to use one that makes sense for helping you move forward in your personal goals. And we're going to send out surveys along with each module. So after you do module 1, when we send module 2, we'll have a link along with that email for you to click on and fill out a survey for us. Since this is our pilot study, we would like to collect as much information as possible. And we are also going to use the surveys as a drawing for a gift card. So each survey you complete will act as an entry for a final drawing at the end of the program of a $50 gift card. And like I said, the surveys will be, there's going to be a link attached within the emails. So everything should be sent to you through the email each week. And here are some important dates. So the first email will come out, first the sign up date. Make sure that you sign up by February 8th. So that's next Friday. That's going to be our last day for sign up, because the first module will come out on February 11th. And then each week following that, we'll have a module emailed to you, and the last one will come on March 18th. And then we'll have the survey for that module the following week. And who can participate right now for the pilot study? We're just asking for extension personnel from UD, DSU, and the Sea Grant. We actually already had one person from Sea Grant sign up, and Jen signed up, so thank you. We had some people sign up ahead of time. And we will put the link in the chat. I think I have it. So I've put the link up right now. If you'd like to click on it, you can check that and just sign up. You just need to put your name and your email so that we can make sure those emails get to you. I do also want to say that if there's anyone that you know isn't on First Friday today, or we're also going to have the information out in Directors Weekly today, but if there's someone that you know doesn't always check up on them right away and might not get this information, please feel free to send out the information from Directors Weekly. And we just want to make sure that everyone who is able to participate gets the information. So just make sure to share with your teams and any other extension personnel that you might know would be interested. And the last little positive note that we'd like to leave you with is to remember, if it is to be, it is up to me. So you are in charge of your health and wealth goals, and we would like to help you get to them. And that's all we have for you.
Awesome. Does anybody have questions for Kim and Sarah? Questions how they're planning to do any of this or use that survey information? So we're going to be your guinea pigs. Do you think you'll keep all of the surveys in there when you roll this out to your target audience? And is the target audience just the general public or another specific group?
That's a good question. We've talked about working within like an employee wellness type of site. We thought this would go really well for like a full-time worker because it is self-paced and it's not something that you have to like go to the gym to do or go to a counselor or whatever. So we did kind of have that initial thought when we made this up in the beginning. But right now we're just kind of focused on the pilot and seeing how that goes and see the feedback that we get from that.
So you're getting some questions in the chat. Kathleen said this is awesome, and she's wondering if we could set up some sort of office challenge with this. Do you think this would lend well to something like that? We've done that in our office before. I failed. Yeah, do you have any thoughts on that?
I would have to look through and see, because it would depend on like if everyone's doing the same steps or the same amount of steps. I guess you could also just do if people are completing their modules and turning in their surveys. We at least will have that. We'll know who's turning in the surveys. But for the most part, it's kind of up to everyone else on their own. So you would just have to be really honest with each other.
Yeah. Well, I think we're lucky we have our staff meeting Monday morning, so we could at least make it a challenge to at least sign up.
Yeah.
To be a part of this and to help you guys collect your pilot data. Doug asked if the modules could be used by youth as well as adults.
That's a good question. I think the health track, but the finance is really geared towards adults. I don't know, Kimmy or Maria, if you would like to say anything too. When we were developing this, we were thinking more for adults. But again, I mean, that's good feedback to think of as you're going through this. If there's anything that you think we should know, make sure to write that in your surveys. If there's something that you said that you think a worksheet would work well with youth or something, that's also, I'm sure we could pull things out and use those.
Yeah, not having seen it yet, I don't know. But you would think maybe teens who are spending money and are thinking about buying a car or saving for school, something like that. Maybe it could be used by older youth. Yeah,
I think that would be a great thing for youth to get more involved in their finances and health before.
Right. And Doug said maybe they could be adapted for youth in the future.
Yeah.
I think he's asking. So I think. Oh, go ahead.
I just want to second what Sarah's saying. Our surveys are really less about, our surveys are really more about getting feedback for the program, what worked well, what doesn't. So I think that if you're interested in having something to be used for the youth, like she said, really give that feedback on what you think could be tweaked to make it more adaptable to youth, and maybe think about it through that lens. Because, yeah, I mean, that's definitely something that could be done, even though it's not currently the way it was designed. That makes sense.
So I think that's a good challenge right there for Doug and some of the other 4-H staff to go ahead and sign up and test this out for you guys. And then Kathleen saying she thinks that there's some master food educator volunteers who would be interested after the pilot.
Oh, yeah.
And then
That's
Cheryl
good.
gave you a compliment saying, looks to be a very attractive program. So
Thanks, Cheryl.
it's doing great. So anybody else?
I guess I want to, this is Maria. I just want to encourage you, if your county office is thinking you want to try to create some sort of competition, that could be something that you all come up with and share with us and pilot as well. So keep us in the loop in terms of your creative thinking there, because, as Sarah and Kimmy shared, we're hoping that we could roll this out to places of employment. And so those kinds of fun ways to get it, people involved could be part of the package that gets out. So yeah, that would be great. I know those Kent County folks are very creative.
Well, Kathleen, I think you've got some ideas maybe brewing. So come Monday morning with your thoughts on this, and we can talk about that during our staff meeting. And so it sounds like Doug's committed too. He signed up free, and he's sure some other 4-H staffers will as well. So this is great. I hope you guys got a lot of good feedback from this. As Sarah mentioned, it's going to be in the DW with the link also. So hopefully other folks, if they're not on right now, can get involved. So if you hear anybody asking, what's this about, fill them in, please. All right, so
Thanks so
thank
much.
you very much, guys. We're going to go ahead and transition over to Allison Brayfield. So Allison is going to give us some updates on some things that she is learning about from the business manager perspective that are going to impact us. And while we've been on First Friday, I had an email pop up from, I think, the executive vice president, Alan Brangman, not sure if I'm saying his name correctly, about Concur and how this is going to work. So it's very timely that you're talking to us about this right now.
All right, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
All right, and I'm sharing. Can you see my screen? Oh,
It's coming.
is it
All right.
there?
Yep, we see the university homepage.
Okay, so I didn't get that email, so I have no idea what that is about. First off, good morning, everyone. And I want to start with the W-2s. So even before Concur and procurement, I want to share with you information on retrieving your W-2s online. Everyone might not be aware that they have placed them. So on my website, I'm putting in web views, if you can see the URL. And it will bring you up to your self-service view. And down here, you'll see W-2s. And you just click there. And they have uploaded the 2018. When I called last week, they actually said that it would take a couple weeks, but it's there now. So I did receive my W-2 at home the other day. If you haven't received it, you can get it there. And mine shows to 2014. I'm not sure if that's where they ended.
So quick question, Allison, is the move going to be to not mail them in the future? Is 2018 the last year we'll receive them in the mail?
No, they have not shared that information.
Okay, just curious.
And I think my husband, who works for Christiana Care, his did not come in the mail. He did have to print his. So I guess I don't know what the IRS guidelines are, but we get them in the mail and it's available online.
I received mine already.
I did too, 2 days ago.
Yeah.
All right, so we're done with that. Any questions on the W-2s? And I can't see the chat box.
Not at the time. We're
Okay. All right, so we are going to move on to Concur. And I want to preface this by saying this is for information only. The rollout hasn't happened. We were told that it possibly could take place in February, but my discussion with procurement this morning makes me think that that may not happen. So again, information only. Please do not call procurement with questions about Concur. Here's the procurement website. So you can start there, and then you have the Concur tab, which will bring you to the Concur Travel and Expense Solutions. And then the link for Concur Training. And you can see they have getting started with Welcome to Concur. It's a one-page guide. These are either documents. I'll open this up so you can see. So they are either Word documents or some PowerPoint presentations that they've used over this whole process since 2017. Some important things to think about are, oh, disregard that. I'm going to go to the Concur site. I don't want to get you confused. So you can start very simply by going from the university homepage, /Concur. And you log in with your CAS login. Now this looks different for me because I've already created my profile. And we are not live. This is the Concur website. Along this top menu, there are requests. So travel and expenses. Concur is going to take the place of Agencia and Works when it rolls out. You want to start by creating your profile. Profile settings. And here's each of the items. And as you click into them, you just complete the process. This yellow important note is telling you to be sure that the name that you put here is what is on your ID for your travel documents. Now down here at the bottom, the contact information with your work telephone number. You want to register and manage your mobile devices. I just did this morning, so you'll want to add a new device and follow the steps to put in your phone. And this is going to give you the ability to download the app, the Concur app. Let's just see what this looks like. When you load your device, you'll have to click this box, primary, and then you have to click the OK down here for it to connect, not just hit the save. I'm over here. Company information. This is new to me. So I go back to my profile and I'll click each one. Very important at this time, this third item, credit card information. Do not enter your current credit card. Everyone will get a new credit card. You want to be sure that you activate your receipt activation. This way you can take a picture of your receipt with your Concur app on your telephone, and it will connect it to your expenses in the system.
So Allison, if I have the app on my phone and I take
Yes.
a picture of a receipt on my phone, I can,
Yes.
through the app, upload it directly.
It will automatically upload it. Now I've gone to the expenses here, and it will show up
Okay, you'll actually
this
physically.
part in the expenses. I did look, I met with Kathy Conrad this morning and just had her bring up, because she has piloted Call Cobb and Kathy and the dean. And Kathy is the dean's delegate. So all of his receipts come into her. And it's very clear. You'll see it once it happens. I think it'll be very intuitive, more so. There have been glitches with the system that they're working out through this pilot program. Kathy reported that she feels at this point with the pilot that the travel is very easy. The expenses are a little bit more time consuming in the beginning, but I think that once we understand the process and they get the kinks worked out associated with how the university does things, that it'll be a benefit to all of us. An important thing is that each person, you have to create your own profile. So I know there's a lot of proxies out there, but each person with their own credit card has to create their own profile. Let me get to the beginning here. You create your own profile, and then you will set up company, work, contact, email, emergency. Here's your travel preferences, tickets. Okay, right here is assistants and travel arrangers. So I have input Aisha as an assistant. Your assistants, right, you can book travel. Now, what I want to do is I'm going to see if she's in here again. I'm going to delete her. Let me cancel this. I'm going to delete. All right. I'm going to add her. See, it brings her up. And now I'm going to select her to book travel and is my primary assistant. You can only have one primary assistant. What a primary assistant can do is actually, and so you want to think about if you want a primary assistant. What the primary assistant has the ability to do is access your profile. So Aisha does all the travel arrangements for Michelle. We haven't talked to Michelle yet, but one thing is Michelle may want to make Aisha. That way, if there's any changes to your frequent flyer accounts, to add them, delete them, any of those other specificities can be done through the primary. When you set up your device, your username, you'll see the instructions will be, there's little one-page instructions provided, but it's very interesting because when you set up your device, your login for the device on the Concur app is it wasn't allisonb@udel.edu. It's your number. So my employee number is 33665 at udel.edu. And that is the sign-in for the Concur app online, not your name, but the numbers. Any questions?
So time frame wise, I did scroll over and look at that email. I would imagine that it's probably in there. You just haven't been able to see it yet, but it sounds like it's going to be rolling out over the next couple of months. So,
What I was told yesterday was February
okay. Cool.
for
Yeah. So will there be a training, or maybe we can do this as a more in-depth, step-by-step First Friday, or a lunch and learn to help people walk through it on their own screen?
Yes, this is just for information only. So what you can do is you can go to the procurement website, go to the Concur training, and just sort of look around,
Yeah.
just to become familiar with the terminology, what it looks like, and then going to the profile, and you can create your profile. Do not put in your credit card,
Right.
just to become familiar. There will be formal training. Margot and Kathy are creating a rollout process, and they told me that they anticipate their plan of action is a 3-step process from procurement. They're also going to be doing, they can come to the department, and then they're also looking at using Zoom as a platform. They're in the midst today, Colleen shared with me, they're making little snippets, video snippets to put on for training, little 2 to 3 minute video snippets. Does this cause more confusion, even bringing this up at this point in time? I think that we need to get familiar, set up your profile, and I'm wondering how this is going to affect with the proxies. Everyone can still have a delegate, but I think that whereby in the counties, people have been providing receipts to the admins. I think that folks are going to need to upload their own receipts as opposed to turning them into the admins. So if it's easy for them to download the Concur app on their phones to take a picture, it will automatically connect. And then those admins can reconcile as normal, because then you'll create them as a delegate.
Okay, something I know that I'm sure will be a topic of conversation at our staff meeting Monday morning, and so we'll figure out what the glitches might be and how to work through them. But so thank you. I think this is good to kind of just get a preview and to know what's to come. Does anybody have any questions for Allison at this point? Doesn't look like it. They're all stunned. Another new program to learn.
No, well,
I think I had heard probably months and months ago that there was something coming to replace Works. So I think we all knew it was happening. It's just finally, it's almost time now.
it's almost time. So I would just take a look around the site and
Get familiar.
get familiar, and please do not call procurement. If you have questions, just
Call
you
you.
can reach out to me, but at this point in time, do not call procurement about Concur.
Okay. Sounds
Thank
good.
you.
Thank you, Allison.
You're welcome.
I think if you're done sharing your screen, we will ask Aisha to share hers, and we'll see the video that Dr. Rogers prepared before she left on her trip. And I'm not sure if I'll be able to answer a lot of questions afterwards, but I can certainly give it a shot. But I know she'll be back Tuesday. So if you have burning questions and I can't handle them, write them down, shoot her an email, and I'm sure she'll follow up with you as soon as possible. So Aisha, it's over to you. Thank you. Okay, so Aisha, I see your screen, but it says Allison Brayfield, and I don't think it's playing yet, the video. Hear it, but I still see it saying Allison Brayfield.
Here we go.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the February 1st Friday. Just before I head out for vacation, I wanted to have a chance to talk with you in person. But since I'll be on vacation during First Friday, I'm doing this by recording and hope that I can engage you in some important information.
I'd say stop sharing your screen and then try again. I think your Zoom window is being displayed, not the video window.
Okay. Wait a minute. It should be displaying it.
There we go. Now I see your face. Now we just got to get the audio.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, try playing.
About our state budget in a few minutes. Before I get to that, though, I also wanted to share with you a new magazine that has just come out. This is an outreach and engagement magazine that just came out. We have statements in here from our own Sequoia Rent. There's other projects that are in here that are things that we've been involved in. I actually haven't had a chance. It arrived today to read it all, but I'm going to be sending copies of this out to your county offices so you can take a look and see our first outreach and engagement magazine for the University of Delaware. So an important new piece for us, and be arriving in your office soon, maybe even before you get this recording to listen to. I wanted to have a chance to talk to you, as I said, in person, but I'm going to do this by recording and hope that you will interact with me after this recording, and we can talk about our state budget and a process, an initiative that I've been working on since last fall, in line with conversations with our leadership team, and want to share some background information on this, some information about the process, and the specific ask that we're making around the state budget this year. So I'm very excited to be able to talk to you about this effort that we're making to increase our state funding line for cooperative extension. This is an important part for us. As I've compiled data on our budget situation, I want to give you just a little bit of understanding about our budget. I think many of you know that our budget for cooperative extension is not university funded, but is funded in the actual state budget line that is cooperative extension. That's about 7% of our cooperative extension budget. 25% of those dollars are matched one by the federal government, and that's a requirement. And so that's USDA dollars that come to us that are authorized through Smith-Lever funding, is what the line is at the federal level that funds us. And then we also, and so that makes up about half of our budget on that. We have some local funds that come in from our local county commissioners or levy court, depending on your county. And they're often designated for specific things in that county or positions in that county or specific priorities. But we do have a little bit of funding that comes in through that that varies from county to county. And then additionally, we have an increasing amount of our budget that's been provided on grants and contract work. I'm very happy with the increased revenue that we are bringing in through grants and contracts. The 4-H program has leveraged about half of their staff by contract funds and grants that they have, and that's useful. I know many of you have been involved in writing grants. Some of you, grants do provide the opportunity to put staff and salary dollars on that, and I just want to encourage you to continue to do that as you're able. Others do not, but provide us with opportunities to hire some students or some interns or some miscellaneous wage staff that we do on that as well that helps us to get our work done. So while the state and federal and funding does supply a major portion of our staffing, I know that some of these other grants and contracts can contribute over 30% of our budget as well that we're working with. So I appreciate your work to continue to support that. But specifically want to talk about the state line today and the rationale for the background so you understand of this request. Over the past 5 budget years that I've been here, we've received a budget decrease of 19%. Then the following year, we had all of that budget restored except for about $70,000 in that. We have had 1% increases in the state line, 2% increases on the state line. And so when the state has been able, they have been supportive, they have provided those increases, and we're very appreciative of that and enjoy some great relationships with our state legislators. However, in those same 5 years, the cost that we have for salary and fringe benefits and for our promotions has increased at a rate higher than those increases have been. About over the same time frame, we've had about a 10% increase in our state funding, and we've had about a 30% increase in our salary and fringe lines. And so we have really reached a point where it's becoming increasingly important for us to take a strong look at our state budget and to bring a request to our state budget to sustain us going into the future, and also to help us to grow, to be able to meet the needs that the state has and the ideas and concerns that they would like us to address and that we've identified through our needs assessment and strategic planning processes. So that's the budget history, and we just are at a point where sustaining on the 1 to 2% increase will not sustain us for very long going forward. We're really at a point where we need to ask and need to have these conversations. A little bit about the process of the budget. Several years ago, the budget process changed, and the university agreed with the legislature that the funds would come into University of Delaware, and they're not all aligned by a particular need, but the funds come into University of Delaware. The college receives a certain portion of those funds, and cooperative extension is one aspect of those funds that do come to the College of Ag, and then it comes into the cooperative extension budget through that. So our process for this needs to be tied and in relationship to the university budget process as well. So over the past several months, I visited with the dean and with our financial officer, Khalkhad Rashid, about our budget situation, running the numbers, getting the background on this and where we are, much of what I shared with you. I've also been in conversation with government relations and about the university ask and how cooperative extension could fit and be considered as a part of the ask for the state budget. And I've also met, and we've had requests into the provost and the president for their approval to seek increased support for the cooperative extension portion of UD's budget. So I'm happy to say that all along the way, we've had support for these ideas and moving forward. And Provost Robin Morgan has agreed to allow me to have some preliminary conversations with some of our legislators and to vet the idea and get feedback on this. Government relations is then working hand in hand as I report to them about these visits and what we're learning, and we'll work with this on the effort as well. And the goal is that our combined effort would be a win-win for the University of Delaware, that we're not competing against the university, but we're making a much larger ask in regards to the University of Delaware, but we will be making requests for cooperative extension specifically, and we will be doing that versus the university as a whole doing that. So there'll be 2 requests really coming in from UD. So that's a little bit about our process and who all needs to be involved in working with us on that. And we are at the point where we have approval and are moving forward then in this request for cooperative extension funding. Then you might ask, how much do we ask for, and how do we decide how much we ask for? And so there's been a lot of discussion over the last several months about this and what's appropriate, what would be respectable and understanding of the state in terms of where they are, and what's going to be a win-win situation as we go into this ask. And there's a whole lot of factors that go into that, and I've only touched on a few. But let me summarize it to say that we've determined that we would, at this point in time, you can ask for $500,000, $500,000 to come to the cooperative extension line. And these would be used both for sustaining our existing staff and operating costs, as well as allowing us to enhance and move forward on strategic priority areas. The balanced approach is needed because everyone who's the director of a program could go into the state and said that it hasn't been keeping up with what our costs are and could make that case for that. So we need to make that case, but also what else we could offer so that we really have something that is appealing to be considered for the funding for our state budget line. So that's how we've positioned this. About half of the funds, about $250,000 of them, would be needed just to sustain us at a 2% level of increases over the next 5 years. And so that would be that. And we have looked to you and your teams for what our strategic requests would be relating to staffing. I'm appreciative and informed of your team's discussions and those strategic positions. The leadership team has compiled all of those, and we've prioritized some of those, both in terms of what may be politically advantageous to us, as well as what are needs that we've designated to be a part of what we would lay out as strategic priorities. So let me just share a little bit about what some of those positions that we're discussing and putting out before the legislators for consideration. We've identified 2 of our 4 major goal areas as strategic priorities for this funding. We've talked about the sustainable and production systems for ag and urban landscapes area as a priority. This is supported by our needs assessment data, as well as your staffing plans. And in this area, we've identified a farm business management position that could work with producers on everything from succession planning and strategic planning and financial management to making some economic decisions about some new crops that we're considering here in Delaware, the legislation that enables us to grow hemp in the state, the work that we're doing in canola, other specialty crops and non-specialty crops that we're considering as diversification here in Delaware. We really need someone in farm business management who can help our producers discern the appropriateness of that. We're moving forward and have posted the horticulture and natural resources position. And this is because we have some self funds that we are leveraging on this. We have Renewable Resource Education Act, which provides some of the funds. We have a grant request with some of those funds, and we have some state dollars. So we're really trying to use state dollars and leverage that with other resources to fill positions is how we'll move going forward. So that position is there because we have some other resources that we can leverage if we have some state capacity funds with that as well. And we've talked about contracting to get some ag law support from the ag law program at the University of Maryland in this priority area, all of which have come from your priorities identified in the staffing plan. Nutrition and wellness is the second goal area where we've identified some specific needs. Particularly in our 4-H program, we have invested heavily in grants and contracts work, and we're running our after-school program on grants that our staff works very hard on to leverage and fund positions that do our 4-H youth development and outreach efforts in that. And while we have needs in several areas for them, what we think is going to receive response at the present time is to put forward a 4-H youth prevention education position that we can use to hire a new 4-H agent to work in that area. Currently, all of our work in this area is being done on grants, and we have leveraged all of the funds that we can with other staff, and so we really need some state capacity funds that would enable us to work in this area and to leverage further funds that we know are available in this particular area, and to do positive youth development work and prevention education that's part of 4-H all this time. Secondly, we also have a community health and wellness position that we would like to request and put in place. We currently have this position, and we're nearing the third year of 3 years of temporary funding that we've had through university funding on this, that we now need to move this forward to cooperative extension funding as we move forward. And so that's a priority for us, and an area where we're doing lots of work. Over this past year, with the one of the rationale behind this is with the position that we've had and the work that our agents are doing in this area, we have been able to generate and leverage over $100,000 coming into Delaware for this area of community health and wellness. So we really need this position to help generate this help respond to this important area in our state. And we're also requesting for a position that would work in digital communications. Michelle Wofford has done a lion's share of this work. We'd like to clone her. And so funding for this position won't do the cloning, but it would at least allow us to consider investment in some digital communications marketing and having additional people resources to help them work in this area. And again, I'd like to think that we would leverage some of that with some other funds that we can get to accomplish that goal. We won't be able to fill all of these positions on the dollars that are there. We'll have to look for opportunities to do all of this by leveraging other dollars to fill this many positions. But it is a way that we can put forward from the work that you have provided in your teams and planning from each of your teams to do this work. The youth prevention education is is focused on youth, but it's also work that we're doing with our family consumer science team, the same with the community health and wellness. And that's something that we're all done. I'm most impressed, for example, at the work that was done at Ag Week this week. They really combined the work and the production education with our ag producers and industry personnel, but also brought in that programmatic area and integrated with the health and wellness that's so important for that audience. And so doing those kinds of integrated work, I really think helps to tell our story as the entire program that Cooperative Extension has to offer in a broader range. So they're the kinds of positions that we would put forward. Again, these are not promises to fill these positions, but these are strategic priorities that we're putting in front of them as what we would be able to do if we had enhanced funding to move forward. So finally, I want to share with you what the process is that we're going through. In addition to what we've been through to get to this point now, I have begun individual and group conversations with legislators. So I had some preliminary discussions to vet the idea. And we have the approval of the provost and the president to go ahead and continue having these discussions and vetting this idea, at the same time that we link it very strongly to government relations and what the university effort is, and we work in sync. And so when I have these visits, I'm also having communication with them about these conversations, and we want this to be a win-win for both Cooperative Extension and for the university in their separate requests that they are making as well. And so we're trying to coordinate our efforts as we have these conversations with legislators. I have a number of these visits scheduled in early February. I'll be coming to Georgetown and having several legislators meet us there, setting up some visits for a small group of legislators in Dover. And then we'll be beginning to connect with and work with the Joint Finance Committee and as they consider budget proposals that are coming forward to them as we move forward. I've also asked the county directors to provide key stakeholders in your county who can speak to the value and the efficient use of resources and the contribution that Cooperative Extension can continue to make and needs to for these funds to continue to provide services. So we have a small list of initial stakeholders. And as we move further and we have positive reception of this proposal, I hope to meet with that group via Zoom or by phone, and I'm referring to now our stakeholder group that we've identified, and provide them with this kind of background information. And then we'd be asking them to make personal contact and conversation with legislators that they have a relationship with or work with and know to help share this message. I'm also sharing this message with you because here in Delaware, we have great opportunity to meet up with these legislators at the grocery store, at our places of worship, as we're attending school events. And I know already that some of the conversation has started with legislators, and Doug Kraus recently shared with me a story. He was at another meeting and a legislator was there, and around the table he mentioned this, and the other organizations were mentioning their request as well. So you may have the opportunity to be in a room at an event, and I wanted you to have the rationale for what we're doing, what we're asking, and why, and to feel comfortable in being able to speak to that, and a sense of pride in saying we need this, and what we're doing is important work, and we need your support to continue doing that. It really will take a team effort to get this done. It's not something that I can do alone, but as you have the opportunity, or opportunity comes to you, that you would certainly have enough information and know about what we hope to accomplish. We're currently putting together and having communications. Dante LaPenta is working on our request proposal and the one-pager. We have a draft of that, and we're working on that to get that finalized, and we'll get that in your hands as soon as we have that, and hopefully before early February when we have these visits as well. Finally, we'll be developing the plan further as time goes forward, and we see what response is, what opportunities there are, what we're being directed in terms of legislators and their willingness to fund, what level of funding we find things going in, and as I take direction from the University Government Relations as well in terms of how we continue to approach this issue. So it's ongoing and dynamic. It's also exciting. I'm very proud to represent all of you and make the case that we continue to need their support to enhance the work that we do every day that makes a difference in the lives of people in Delaware. So that's where we are at this point. I'm sorry I'm not able to be live and take your questions and comments and hear your suggestions to this. So what I'd like to offer is in the next few minutes, as I turn this back over to Jen, who is live, that you submit any questions, comments, suggestions you have about other approaches that we may use. Put that in the chat box, and we'll collect all that. And by the time we have that collected, I'll be back from vacation, and we can incorporate that into the work that we're doing in this area in the following week. If you're uncomfortable with that, but you'd like to talk about this or have some suggestions too, I'll be back by February 5th, and you begin contacting me, email me, and I'm certainly want to be open to hear your suggestions, your thoughts, and any direction that you can provide as we move forward on this. As I said, it will take all of us to get this accomplished. I commit to you to keep you posted about how this is going, knowing that I don't know the final outcome of this effort, but we will use the first Friday as an opportunity to share information as I'm able, as things come forward, and also Directors Weekly to keep you up to date on what is happening and what we know. There could be weeks or period of time when there's nothing to report. There may be short periods of time when lots of things are happening as we work with this legislative process. And of course, we're always grateful when we do have a state budget by June. So there is a deadline or a target out here when we can anticipate that we would have some information and knowledge with that. So let me say, again, I'm thankful for all of you and the work that you do. It's a great story that we have to tell. I will be using the impact sheets that we've developed as a way to tell some of the stories. Some of you have submitted some really great impact stories for this year, and we're trying to turn those around, that I can be using those with these visits and requests, and that you can as well. So we've identified this year's impacts, and communications is working on those to turn those into infographics, even as I record this now. So that's the update from the director. I look forward to talking to you in person in the coming weeks, and I will welcome your thoughts and suggestions as we move forward. So turning this back over to Jen, and I would just ask for a few minutes to have you complete any questions or suggestions or comments in the chat mode. Thank you all very much.
All right, guys. So as she requested, I know we're now a little over 10 o'clock. I think that was longer than 18 minutes. So maybe it was a typo that I had received with the length. But go ahead and unmute yourselves or type it into the chat box. Or as she said, reach out directly to her over email if you have ideas. But she's looking for recommendations on how to make this a successful ask for us. And we want your thoughts. So if you guys have good ideas, please share them with us either now or privately later with her. Not seeing or hearing any typing. So I think I'll be respectful of your time. Please know that she is trying to do this for us. So it's important that we know about it. And if you run into legislators, you know, if they happen to ask, you know, she's laid out what we're going to use those funds for. So it's going to help keep up with supporting existing staff and then helping to advance some of our strategic efforts. So with that, I will say happy Friday. It has been snowing since 7 a.m. here. So I hope if you are going out, you stay warm and safe. So have a good weekend, guys.
Thanks, Jen.
Thank you.